Way better than expected. Very strong number. Revisions higher for the last 2 months. The wages, we didn't get the growth that we were looking for. Slight miss there. But I think this tells you that the economy is picking up steam. Whether or not it wants to be reported that way, the economy is picking up steam. It's a positive. It can support the market up here at these levels. It can support the Fed. This report, I thought, would come in more in line. It's actually way better than I anticipated.
Steve Cortes, you wanted a two-handle. You got it.
We got it, and we're going to get more of those ahead. You know, look, this is great news. I don't expect much of the mainstream media will report that because it might reflect well on President Trump. But clearly the economy is accelerating. The optimism out there is palpable. And by the way, in terms of getting wages up, and I agree, that's really the only thing I see in this report that's not terrific. How do we get wages up? We got to get workers more productive. And how does that happen? Companies have to invest in technology and plants and equipment. One reason they haven't been doing that is our tax code really deters it. And so Paul Ryan yesterday in his home state of Wisconsin was touring a plant, and he made the point, which I think is a crucial one, that we, in this tax reform, in the tax cut package that we've got to get through, we have to make it immediately deductible for companies when they invest in equipment, in large equipment in particular. And if we do that, the American worker will get massively more productive. Wages will rise. So this is good news that can become great news very soon for the American worker.
I'm pretty impressed, Kevin Kelly, with the fact that there were even mining jobs. The mining jobs also started to increase.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting, especially in light of what we've been talking about construction jobs. They only added 16,000, and we're starting to see when we look at real estate prices are starting to appreciate on the home value side because there's a lack of construction jobs. Now think about this. If we're going to start to do a lot of infrastructure spending, we're going to need a lot more construction and a lot more mining jobs, so those are starting to go up. But the government did add a lot of jobs. So if we look at this headline number of 222,000, really you deduct that out, 187,000 were private payrolls. Now, getting to the labor participation rate, it is going to be very hard to get that number a lot higher because you have baby boomers retiring every single day, and that's what impacts the labor participation rate pretty significantly. Now, given we added all these jobs and wages came down disappointing, it further reinforces that we need to address what, as even Steve said, productivity, but also health care. I mean, that is certainly weighing on, and that's just a fact everybody agrees on. It's a nonpartisan issue. The CBO has even said it, so we need to figure something out on the health care side to get wages up.
I agree, and that's the crazy thing. Everyone agrees that we need to do something on health care, but we can't do anything about it. You would think it's not rocket science, or maybe it is, but we need to get the best minds to figure this out and figure it out quickly, because I think that's the biggest thing holding back a big pop in the economy.
They had 7 years. They had 7 years to put something together. What were you doing in the last 7 years other than talking about it and voting for repeal?
Let's look forward.
And the same thing is with same thing with the tax reform. Paul Ryan put together a plan with Kevin Brady that very few real conservatives would get on board with because it raises taxes on imports. And then they sat around and acted like Donald Trump wasn't going to win the White House. I digress. This is a great jobs report.
Yeah, it's a good number.
It is a very good number. It is very strong. 47,000 additional jobs were added in May and April, as Mike pointed out in the revisions. And if you look at the sectors, there is job creation across this entire economy for the most part. Health care, financial services, mining, which Maria pointed out, professional and business services, food services and drinking places, other major industries, construction added 16,000 jobs, manufacturing, wholesale, retail added 8,100
wow,
jobs.
That's a big one.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best reports actually we've seen in years, and because it's not just the headline number. Maybe we've seen a stronger headline number, but really each part of this report, the growth in all the sectors, you know, wages, yes, could be stronger. Weekly wages definitely up, you know, on a year-over-year basis. But even I look at temporary help, which I'm in that industry, and we continue to see there is still a strong demand for temporary help, which is always a good indicator for the future. You know, many people will say, oh, the BLS report, the employment report, is a lagging indicator. Temporary help is a leading indicator. It is showing that there is a demand right now that companies need people to do work, whether on a project basis, maybe they have permanent openings, but across the board, you really can't find anything wrong with this report. It is very good. And here we are 6 months, you know, into the year.
Yeah.
This really speaks to President Trump's you know, what he's trying to do in making America great
well,
again.
The one number that is
back.
great in this report that everybody can focus on is the U6 number. At 8.6%, that is a great number. That is where if you look at a jobs report and you're looking for a number to really hang out there, it's this one, right? So this is so the number that we're talking about, the headline number is U3, U6 coming in right here at 8.6%. That's a great number. That is a 16-year low, right? I mean, so that shows how strong it is.
Alan, I want to get your take on this as we watch a market reaction here where the major averages have surged on the heels of this number. Dow Industrial is now up 50 points. NASDAQ up 30 points right now. Alan, your takeaway here.
Maria, I think during the break, you know, I had said I wanted to see a two-handle. I felt we could see a two-handle on this number. 222,000, great. Yeah, government contributed for sure in that growth. The construction numbers, you know, are in line with what I expected, so that's really good. But I think the exciting thing to think about here and focus on is that U6 number. That number's been as high as 9.5% within the last year. And what that's telling us is people are now getting employed in the right kind of jobs. When U6 comes down, that says that people that were underemployed or filling two roles where they were just covering the ability to make an income are now being deployed in jobs that are appropriate for them. So that unemployment rate that we're seeing is starting to reflect a real full employment situation. When U6 comes down, that's very big.
Yeah, that's a good point.